use a metaphor that we try to create a number of formal feedback loops where a single proposition, it might be a directorial, it might be based on a certain text, on some other artist's work. We feed that into our loop, and that loop consists of a variety of creative processing. Some of that might be related, and most of it is related to exploration of relations within the movement, particularly within collective movement, but then it's put to the test or fed back into a feedback loop of dramaturgy and performative settings and things like that. So we always try to test individual propositions through different creative processes or capacities or skills that belong to individual members of the group, and this is how the end product is negotiated. Yeah. And it might not be immediately visible in the end product, but that also counts a lot for how we deal with the complexity of collective communication and bringing in a variety of instruments and tools which are not immediately choreographic or directorial or authorial, but have an alien element to them. So
that was good.
Working in a multidisciplinary environment allows us to create or to raise the complexity of the structure of the final piece of work. And this is something that we are interested in. I mean, all of us are creatives, but perhaps we always, each of us needs to be spurred on by somebody else's critique within the context of the collective. So it's always about creating little points of disbalance in rehearsal in the materials, whether they are choreographic or textual materials, and bringing in new ideas from the side somehow. Interesting when new things come in because it changes the course of the work. We never have an idea of what the work will look like, and then when we start out, and sometimes we even go for big shifts, big changes a week or 10 days before the set premiere date of the performance.
This piece with a very strange cryptic title, One Poor and One Zero, is an account of a particular lack in the history of cinema. The lack that was initiated by the first film ever made, Workers Leaving the Factory, of the Lumiere brothers, and that is that history of cinema has often showed us workers, but always workers once they have left the factory, and never or rarely workers at their work in their collective process of production. And things behind the factory gates have remained hidden for the history of cinema. So what we are trying to do in this performance is trying to account for that, for the work that had remained hidden behind the factory gates. And at the same time we are trying to give an account of what work means in the context of choreography, particularly what it means in an age that we understand as post-Fordist, or where the society itself had become the factory, where the work has become hegemonically creative and not necessarily factory-based. And we try to go back to the 70s and ponder about one choreographing proposition in particular, and that is contact improvisation, which in aesthetical terms has become alienated into dance expressing emotions, which in its initial proposition, as articulated by Steve Paxson, it isn't.
Yeah.
But it is rather a continuation of the long effort of the choreographing avant-garde to emancipate choreography from an external proposition of what the dancing body should be doing while it's performing, and to give it its own autonomy, to create choreography out of the body's response, and the response of two dancing bodies in the case of contact improvisation. And we try to contextualize that into this history of demise of industrial work. Why had contact improvisation appeared at that particular historic moment, and how can we understand it from the longer history of representation of work as exemplified in the cinema? So it's a complex proposition that we stage, but we always are much more interested into complexity than effect or effectivity of a piece.
It was difficult to grasp the complexity of it all. There is movement going on here and video here, and complexity of sound and different elements of stage. Multiplicity, complexity, multiple points of focus on stage. This is something that we are interested in. We want members of the audience to be able to divert their attention from what seems to be the main point of focus to things that are on the margin, viewed from the periphery. Maybe especially in this performance, which somehow is it is viewed from the side always. There is no frontal view of the way we have structured the performance space itself, except by the camera present on stage.